Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of The Inside with me, Babli Jonathan, in Lagos, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Today we are receiving the Consul General of the Republic of Cameroon to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency Besen Manga. And she's been here and she's representing the state of Cameroon. Her Excellency, thank you for joining us today.
There can be more, but those that are registered regularly in the Consulate General, we are talking about 5,000 to 8,000 Cameroonians.
With the long border that both countries are sharing, movement seems to be quite frequent and regular, crossing over the borders.
It's a very common phenomenon. We find Cameroonians that cross over into Cameroon, into Nigeria, and Nigerians that cross over to Cameroon. But you find also Cameroonians that are regularly registered, and they are students, as workers. Those are those that are really registered within the consulate and follow normal activities in Nigeria.
What's the situation of those Cameroonians who are here, living here? Many have been here for as long as we can imagine, and so on. What's their situation? You are in contact with them practically, we can say, on a daily basis to know how they're going about their activities, the challenges they are facing. What's their situation?
Nigeria and Cameroon, they have a very dynamic relationship, because we are talking about Cameroonians that have their origin and their roots here. You find some Cameroonians that have parents that grew up in Cameroon, and when they retire, they came back to Nigeria and they are settled. So Cameroon-Nigeria relation is very diverse. We're talking about people that have one feet in Cameroon and the other feet in Nigeria. So you find out they feel at home wherever they are, and they are very used to the Cameroon environment. They are used to the Nigerian environment. So most of them carry out their normal activity, economic activity. Those of them that are workers, those of them that are business people, they go in and out. But of course, between Cameroon and Nigeria, you have certain legal agreements that would, monitor these Cameroonians once they go in and they come out. But the fact that Cameroon does not have double nationality is another issue. But those Cameroonians that come here and they claim Nigerian roots, they have the Nigerian nationality. So it's an issue which we are trying to work on. We want to keep our Cameroonian brothers in place and want to protect them as more as possible. So we establish consular cards, and they should be registered in the consulate. In that way, in case of any event, they call on us, and once they are registered, we are able to provide them with consular visits, with consular assistance. But most of the time, I think, they are at home in both countries. They are at home, they feel comfortable in Cameroon, they feel comfortable in Nigeria. And it's a richness which I think we should encourage and try to see the good part and keep it.
The line between the people of Cameroon and the people of Nigeria seems to be quite thin, even in terms of culture and other aspects of life.
It is quite thin, and that's where the difficulty comes, because a Cameroonian that is resident in Nigeria for the past 20 years is really difficult to distinguish if it's really a Cameroonian or if it's really a Nigerian. It's quite thin, and I think those are the kind of issues that you find with border communities. But then as you move closer into the heartland of Nigeria or into the heartland of Cameroon, those kind of similarities kind of water down, and you find out that when there is an interest, be it economic, be it social, be it political, they wear the mask of what they really want to be. For example, a Cameroonian who is living in Nigeria and thinks that, okay, I'm here for economic reasons, I want to carry out my business, I don't want to have anything to do with, say politics, for example, would go about his business with no issue. And I think it's the same way also on the other side of the border. But the line is thin, and it works well for both communities.
All right. What are some of the challenges that they often bring to you as the authority from their country, or I mean the representative of their government here?
First of all, like I would say, Cameroonians are very patriotic people. That is something which you cannot take it away from them. Even those that have stayed here for 50 years, once they know that there's a diplomatic representation, we have national days, we have events, they come. They come and they want to identify. That is something which is, it's a strong bond, and I think that's what has kept our work easy, because Cameroonians identify with the fact that they are Cameroonians. Even if they have just a single parent or an aunt or a single relative, they want to be identified as Cameroonians. That is one good thing that happens with the Cameroonian community. So they identify as Cameroonians, they come in for our national days, they come in for every event, and they want to be counted as well. A few challenges that they have is that, of course, they bring out the problem of nationality and they bring up all of that, but like nothing deters them, in terms of their, economic activities and stuff like that. But with the Cameroonians, for example, that are students, I mean, what their major issue is with that of residential permits and stuff like that, because they think it is too expensive. So we in the Ministry of External Relations are working on that. In our Mixed Commission, we'll try to talk about how we can bring the theory of reciprocity. What do Nigerians pay in Cameroon? What do Cameroonians pay in Nigeria? That, I think, is the main challenge that Cameroonians have, that the resident permit is too expensive. They want to have, legal papers to stay in Nigeria.
Where do we find a good chunk of the Cameroonians? In the educational sector, in business?
As diverse as Cameroon is, that's how diverse are the people, Cameroonians that live in Nigeria. In Lagos, I'm telling you. In Lagos, you have business people, you have students, you have experts, you have most of our brothers that come from the north also. They are into trade, they are into security. So it is diverse. Whatever field of activity imaginable in Cameroon, you have them doing here. What is also more interesting is that there are kind of areas of services that are not very popular in Cameroon, but you find it really popular here. You have gatemen, you have stewards, you have security. All of those people, you find them here, and they exercise those duties. And I think they are comfortable with it. They say Lagos is the territory where they hustle. So everybody is doing something, and whatever you do in Lagos works. So, but we will try in order to kind of keep it structured so that they don't go in dispersed fashion and do things. So, but I think all what we do as a consulate is just to try to canalize those people and bring them up to be registered in the embassy. Let's know what is doing, where do you stay, in case of any issue with immigration, any issue with police, which happens very often.
I want you to go a little further to talk more about the services that those who are resident here, Cameroonians who are here, first of all, with those who are here, what they can have as help from the Consulate General.
Babila, if I talk about that, we will not be finished today. But I want to thank you for coming to see us, because I really want to use your medium to reach out to young Cameroonians that Lagos is not a transit town to Europe. This town is where young Cameroonians come. They work because they think, anything goes in Lagos. You can come, if you wash cars for 1 week, you can, make enough transport money to reach up in the north and transit. So our first headache with Cameroonians here is those that come with the intention of transiting to Europe. So they are here. What happens is they get into problems with immigration, they get into problems with police, because the town itself also, it's not cheap getting accommodation, going around. So those are the issues that we get. So most of the time we get called by the police to come and identify our Cameroonians brother for repatriation back to Cameroon. So some of the times they are overwhelmed by the number of Cameroonians that come In that case, sometimes they say, okay, madam, you have to try to repatriate your compatriots. It's not within our mandate. We don't do repatriation. But for humanitarian reasons, sometimes we have to go beyond our means to make sure that these people go back to Cameroon. Sometimes even the consular services go and visit them in the prisons. For example, some of those that, go and commit offenses and they are held up in the prison cells. So the consulate general pays a consular visit to advise, legal advice, get a lawyer, contact the family, contact the Ministry of External Relations so that they can contact the families, let them know that this is the kind of problems that they have. And sometimes the families react. They do send legal advice, sometimes they send financial assistance. So those are, the very pertinent issues we have with Cameroonians here. Well, talking about those that are already working, sometimes all they need is that warmth. They want to feel Cameroonian. They want to know other Cameroonians. So we kind of organize events that bring Cameroonians together, outreach programs.
For those who are passing, who come here for professional duties, like we came here to cover the presidential election, what is expected of them in terms of conduct? What can they expect from the Consulate General? What coverage can they have from the Consulate General?
The Consulate General has a mandate to protect every Cameroonian found within the Nigerian territory, or within the Lagos, my area of jurisdiction. That's our mandate. So we have to protect. We have to offer them what most of the time is administrative assistance. You came in an area which is particular during elections. That we are talking about security. We are talking about in an area, this time we're talking where there's no Naira notes, there's no security, and maybe your coming here wasn't as prepared as we would have wanted. But normally what we would expect you to do before you come, you send us word that you're coming. We get all the necessary administrative clearance for you. That's the kind of assistance that you would expect, that we can give you the administrative clearance. We give you the advice that, okay, these areas are safe to go, these areas are not safe to go. In extreme cases, you're going. But we might do that if we see that the security situation in which you find yourself is extreme and is volatile, like what happened on Sunday.
And I should seize the opportunity to say thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the great assistance you gave us through, and it's not having, the necessary papers to be able to move around freely and do whatever he has to do. What should that Cameroonian do immediately?
First of all, it is not legal to find yourself in a country without the necessary documents. We advise, before you leave your country, make sure that you get the necessary information and you get all the legal papers to allow you stay in the country. So we advise our Cameroonian brothers, adhere to all the provisions of that country, respect the laws of that country. But in extreme cases, say they come here and they find out that,
like for instance, those who are crossing the borders in the places, just anywhere, and they are searching for greener pastures, trying to get a better living, and they find themselves here.
Mm-hmm. That is a tricky one. That's a tricky one because we like I say, in extreme, the consulate goes extra mile to protect, because first of all, what is our duty? Protect. Now they say there's the context and there's the text and there's the context. There's the text says respect the law of the land, have your necessary document. But what is the context? The context is that, for example, you find a Cameroonian who is probably ill, who is homeless, who is destitute. What do? The text said he should have a paper, but you're in front of a Cameroonian, maybe a young Cameroonian, who doesn't have any paper, who doesn't have anywhere to go, who doesn't even have food, who doesn't even have money. What do you do? Parents and things like that. Can we do that? If we can do that, good. Sometimes we contact, they come. Sometimes we don't. But what makes our work sometimes easy, we are close to Nigeria. So the consulate has gone extra miles sometimes to take the people, put them in the bus, and accompany them to the border. We have done that several times, but that is not the duty of the consulate. So people who stray.
In Martinez Zogo murder case, Jean-Pierre Mogo Belinga moved from the State Defense Secretariat to the Konangi prison. In-depth news goes further to say Jean-Pierre Mogo Belinga spends day 5 in Konangi. The media explains how a human rights defender, Tambe Tiku, rescued 2 policemen from separatist Lions Den. Cameroon Insider says recent embezzlement and murder scandals, MPs express fury and want justice. The Eagle's Eye cites the eldest member of parliament who speaks the bitter truth to the government. Municipal Updates reports senatorial election. Chief Joseph John Gute rallies Dian CPDM for 100% victory. Newswatch. CPDM warned its councillors in the Northwest region against voting for the SDF by reminding them that it is the party that made them. Municipal Updates commentary page states senatorial elections, President Paul Biya Fundi, Entente, and fate of Northwest SDF candidates. The Garden Post profiles some women shining Cameroon's image internationally. Municipal Updates also takes interest in celebrating excellence of women who are at the heart of nation building. The ultimate, Kupe Manunguba, unearthing women's uncommon resilience in development. Cameroon Insider also puts women at the spotlight as women march for digital inclusion during the International Women's Day. The advocate congratulates Anglophone women who have been championing the peace-building process. For her outstanding innovations in secondary education, Professor Pauline Naluva Lyonga wins 2022 Woman of the Year award. As reported by Eco Outlook, world leaders and experts map way forward for Congo Basin forest conservation. The Horizon focuses on Francis Ngannou, who has been banned from the UFC.
Myself with a team of other human rights lawyers went to Kumba to see what is happening as far as the arrest of over 190 youths and other elderly persons in 5 different villages in Kumba. The villages where they were arrested are Mator, Kindongi, Bo, Barombi, Etiki, and Bonge Bateke. These are the 5 villages where these youths were arrested. And they were arrested because from the information we got that they had information that there were some terrorist persons in that area. So there was this massive arrest. They were arrested on the 2nd of March 2023, and up till the 9th of March, none of them were released. So on the 9th of March, myself, Salim Dape, we left Boya and went to Kumba. And when we went to Kumba, we were informed that they were being detained under what is known as administrative detention. They were already at the Kumba Central Prison. So we immediately went and had a meeting with the senior divisional officer for Meme, who is the one who signed the administrative detention. We went there, we were received by the senior divisional officer, Mr. Tungong Chamberlain, and he informed us that they are held under the so-called administrative detention. And we're taken aback because we knew as a matter of fact that it is, even though it's administrative detention, it is a state council that is supposed to carry on the investigation. But we're taken aback when he informed us that the investigators are still carrying on the investigation, and after that they will transmit the file to him. He is the one to take the file and transmit it to the legal department. We went and saw the company commander who is actually carrying on investigation. We were surprised that up to this moment, investigations have not still begun. So when we were there yesterday, it was about 155, but we are hearing that more have added. It's about 190 now. So we are praying the administrators that it should be done faster. And the state council too has added his voice that this investigation should be done faster. Those who have committed crimes which are linked to terrorism, they should be sent to the commissioner of government in Boya. Those who have committed other crimes which is within the purview of the criminal procedure code should be sent to the state council to either prepare a charge or send them to court. So this is where we are, and we are saying that if by Tuesday we don't get any clear information, we will be left with no other option than to file the habeas corpus, and they should come and explain to the court this issue of administrative detention. I think with all due respect that the issue of administrative this issue of administrative detention should be well explained by the courts, and it's time that they should explain it. When can our administrators sign administrative detention? Is it in all cases? Can if I have a problem with the deal, can the deal just go and sign an administrative detention for me? So these are things that we want our courts. The judiciary should take its responsibility. They should take their responsibility. What is it when you breach an administrative act? This issue of 15 days renewable. So all of these things, if the criminal procedure court is saying that person should not stay 48 hours, they should be presented to court. So how can an administrator hold somebody for 15 days and the law is saying that renewable? So the administrator can keep you for 30 days.
Cameroon is a democracy, and Cameroon has opted for democracy since the beginning of the 1990s. And the President of the Republic will go down, has gone down as a Democrat, and was one who has brought back democracy in Cameroon and who believes in democracy. And as a democracy, we know that democracies function on the basis of elections, democracies function on the basis of laws, democracies function on the basis of liberties. And here we are, typically democratic elections, in this case the senatorial elections, which according to the electoral law and the constitution are indirect elections. These elections are elections in which the electorate is made up of municipal councillors and regional councillors. And as an indirect election, it is, because of its democratic nature, it is competitive. There are more than 10 political parties competing in the 10 regions and in the 58 divisions that we have in this country. And because it is a competition, everybody, every political party, every councillor wants to exercise their freedom, democratic freedoms. So it's a test, another test of our democracy. So there's a democratic stake. The second stake in this election is that it is a constitutional stake, as you know. The Senate is an institution of the Republic that is provided for by the Constitution of Cameroon. And as an institution provided for in the Constitution of Cameroon, the functioning of the Senate, by virtue of the indirect democratic competitive election, is a reflection of the fact that our Constitution is a Constitution that is Republican, our Constitution is a Constitution that is democratic, our Constitution is a Constitution of the people and is living. And so the successful elections, Senate elections, is also a success of our Constitution. The third stake, major stake, is it's a political stake. As you know, the President Biya, in his democratic drive, in his drive to make the state of Cameroon a democratic state in the context of our republic, decided that the unitary state, which the Constitution provides for, should be a decentralized unity state. Therefore, introduced the element of, or the policy of decentralization of the unitary state. And by decentralization, it means the transfer of powers and competencies and means from the central state to the peripheral states. In this case, the peripheral states are what is called in our constitution decentralized territorial collectivities, which are regional councils or regional assemblies if it's for the northwest and southwest, and municipal councils. And so the fact that these elections are taking place is a reflection of the fact that the policy of decentralization will be stronger, the policy of decentralization is working, and the decentralized collectivities, which are municipal councils and regional councils, are fully functioning, and they are using their autonomy and their freedoms to elect members of the Senate, a Senate that is supposed to represent them.
This is Bangem. I'm assuring you that in some months to come, you will not be able to enter Bangem because of the bad roads. You will not be able to go to Tombel. You will not be able to go to Nguti. In this wise, this present generation of senators, I am pleading to them to talk much on the real empowerment of the regional council and the municipal councils, so that they can work for the people and satisfy the people.
We have accompanied the government of this country in maintaining stability in the country, ensuring continuity, and of course upholding state institutions. We have put government under check. We have as well enabled the head of state, His Excellency Paul, the President of the Republic, in conducting a democratic process that is still ongoing. On a very personal note, I have asserted myself in our Senate. I have represented the people who voted me in articulating their plight, in upholding the dignity and culture of the people I represent. That is to say, at the floor of the Senate, I've come out with strong points that have had to do with the well-being and survival of our people. And the response I got from when I announced my candidature is testament to the position I have taken at the Senate and the work I have been doing for my electorate at the Senate. It is true that the Southwest is dominated by the CPDA. It is also true that the Southwest region has a plethora of challenges that are facing the region at a time like this. Topical among them is the ongoing Anglophone crisis, which I think any opinion leader, political leader, has to measure up with in seeking a lasting solution to this problem. I have given a chunk of my time in Parliament in lobbying and seeking solutions to the ongoing crisis in the English-speaking part of this country, that is the Northwest and the Southwest region. I will not relent. It is going to continue because it is not all over. But there is some array of light in the tunnel, which is a sign of hope. It's a sign of good things to come, especially as today we have a Prime Minister head of government, His Excellency Joseph John Botel, who is committed to the path to peace in this country and is highly respected in this region. He's held in very high esteem and he uses his diplomatic know-how and acumen in dealing with what is commonly known today as the Anglophone. You should understand that I have spent my whole time as a senator in living in where others call ground zero during this crisis. That is to say, I live in where? I live in my village. I live with the realities of this crisis. I have seen what suffering is. I have seen what situations my constituents are living with, and I have shared in their plight. I can better articulate this problem than any other person.
Les 2 mandats qui sont passés, il n'y a pas une réelle évolution. Nous avons mis en place les conseils régionaux, il y a les communes qui existent, mais un certain ensemble de responsabilités qui doivent revenir aux régions ne sont pas encore implémentées.
This is something which will help us to change the mindset of the young people of Cameroon. And we are taking the education sector, which, as you saw from the head of state speech, is the most important thing, is the capital thing today. Because today we cannot sit down, see the children all unemployed while we are happy that the country is going ahead.
You certainly have internally displaced persons who fled violence from the southwest and northwest, and they are here in Lagos State in particular. They are also in other areas of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What help have you been bringing to them?
Those ones, we call them like urban refugees. The urban refugees, most of the refugees, they are down in the southeast area of Calabar. I have my colleague, the Consul of Calabar. That's his mandate. I mean, he takes care of that. But when they come right up to Lagos, you know, they are urban refugees. It means, okay, they fled. I mean, they can look for means to support themselves. Sometimes they look for work, and we refer them to. They have the United Nations Refugee Commission that is here in Lagos. Their office. We work together. We do not work together as such, but you know, we advise them. If you think that you're fleeing from violence, it's always good to go register. At some time, the government did send aid to these people. We did distribute some aid to last year because we made a report, because last year I think there were quite a good number of them, and they came all the time to the consulate. They slept outside our gate. So we did make a note to the government, and then the government sent us relief. They sent us, we bought some, material, we bought food, and which we shared. But most of the time, they go to the United Nations Refugee Commission, and, they get registered, and they give them the necessary documentation, which permits them to circulate freely in Nigeria. But, what I'll say again, a Cameroonian remains a Cameroonian. And you need to see them when we have activities. They come.
Right. How challenging is your job as the Consul General?
I think anybody who can survive Lagos can survive anywhere. Lagos is a tough place. Lagos is tough in the sense that it's Africa, but the standard of living, first of all, goes way beyond most African cities. I think it's classified one of the most expensive within Africa. So first of all, you find that Lagos, it's an expensive city. It's a huge city. Lagos is a population of 23 million people. We are talking about all of Cameroon. So not only I, being a Consul General, trying to manage, Cameroonians that live in this really huge town, but in the Consulate General, we try to maybe keep up also the face of Cameroon. So we want to get outreach activities that, promote the image of Cameroon. We want to, let people know we are here. So surfing in a big town like that is challenging on its own. And we have been able to do that. We have tried to, keep our this edifice is a Cameroonian government property, which we have to be proud of, which we have to maintain it. So sometimes, it gets a little challenging. So we do that. You manage also personnel also. It's not easy. But, I guess that's why I was appointed, because I thought I was capable of doing that.
The celebration of the International Women's Day has continued to spread across Today, the Consulate General of Cameroon in Lagos, in partnership with the United Nations Information Center, marked the day with the theme Think Equal, Build Smart, Innovate for Change, emphasizing the critical role of women.
Do things that are out of the box. Do a little thing somewhere. And all the panelists just say that save if you have to save. If you think it is not going right, do something in order for it to go up. That is where the innovation part comes in. You have to innovate to make things better. And women do that every day. Women are gifted in doing that.
While addressing the participants, United Nations Information Center Director praised women and urged that more women be appointed to positions of authority.
Affirmative action in leadership, what I've been talking about is, it's a decision you make. If I'm voted governor of a state, think equal. Think that I should have equal women in my cabinet as men. It is as simple as that. We don't have to have conferences anymore. We've had these conferences. There have been these discussions for so long that can women really do things that men can do? In the past, people didn't think that a woman can be a pilot, or a woman can be an engineer, or a woman can be... We are beyond that. Now we just need to work on what we know to implement gender parity.
The panel sessions focused on issues affecting women at all levels. Participants shared their thoughts on the events.
It's the first time we're having this event at the Cameroon Council, because now we're delighted we have a female council. So we set out to bring women of all nationalities together. So if you look, you'll see the Togolese women are here, Burkina Faso, Cameroonian, Nigerians, everywhere. And the idea is to bring them all together, exchange views and minds on what the endless possibilities are for women.
Because we are 50% of the world's population, and so we need to really make sure that we rally together. And for me, it's an important day. It's important to meet other Cameroonians, know what we do. We have business booths, we have health booths, we have exhibitions outside, just to see that there are many Cameroonian ladies, even in Lagos, to share and develop our networks. And I think it's just a great day to be a woman.
In the end, women were challenged to be assertive in their role as the foundation of the society.
Talking about how I became the first ever female Cameroon Consulate General, I think it is a question of the policy of the government to put in more women into positions of diplomatic representations all around the world. So it just happened that I was prepared and the opportunity came. So my message, which goes out to most of the women and to most young women, is that they should be empowered. Empowered in the sense that, is it in terms of education, is it in terms of hard work and professions, empower yourself. So when an opportunity comes, you should be in the position to occupy the place that is reserved. So I think my being, the first female consul general is a question of, how opportunity meets preparedness. So I am a people-friendly person. I love to represent my country because I think that whatever I do, I am a representation of the country. Whatever I do, I want people to see me in a positive image, and to see me in that image means that, you speak well of the country that I represent.
You're representing the Cameroon government here and the state of Cameroon as a whole in Lagos State. What is the state of the relations between the two countries?
Nigeria-Cameroon relationship is peculiar, as I said. They are brotherly nations, and their brothers fight, brothers make up, but they always live as brothers. So we have a lot in common. Not only are our people the same, not only do we eat the same. So I think Cameroon, Nigeria, they are brotherly nation. Their activities are practically the same. So, you can see from any issue we have, we always resolve them peacefully. So I think Cameroon, Nigeria, for the moment, they have a very peaceful and cordial relationship, and that has been maintained over the years. A little skirmishes here and there, but it's always been resolved in a peaceful manner, and that's what keeps us going.
Of course, we have the example of the Green Tree Accord, which speaks volumes of what you're talking about. All right. Her Excellency, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much, Babila, for coming to see us.
That was Her Excellency Besem Manga. She is the Consul General of Cameroon to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us in this special edition of The Inside in Lagos.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte. De lundi à vendredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
Pour être au parfum de tout sur tout avant tout le monde, regardez Cadence Matinale sur Equinoxe Télévision. De lundi à vendredi, de 6h30 à 9h. Cadence Matinale, c'est un journal bilingue à 7h. La revue de presse à 7h30. Le temps des sports à 7h45. Le PD News à 8h. Santé et bien-être à 8h45. Prenez le pouls de la journée sur Equinoxe Télévision avec Martial Fanga.
De lundi à vendredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
Aucune proposition de loi émanant du Parlement depuis notre indépendance n'a été adoptée, si je ne me trompe pas.
Thierry Niopé, peut-être un mot, vous êtes d'avis que l'Assemblée nationale ne sert à rien, c'est inutile. Pas de véritable contrôle de l'action gouvernementale, en plus de ce qu'a relevé Bernard.
Il y a des députés de l'opposition qui ont fait courir autour justement de ce nom pour dire